Hey, Mike Swenson here with Real Freedom, and we have a very special guest today. Actually, somebody who isn't in real estate full time. This is not their day job, so we're excited to have Tri Vu on. And Tri's going to talk to us about investing that he's done on the side. He's had experience with Airbnb, and he also has some rentals that he has in different states across the United States. And like I said, this isn't his day job, and so want to just encourage folks that are in real estate full time. Hey, if somebody that's outside of real estate can do it, you can too. And I hope that this story just inspires you to take some steps forward and figure out how do you get started in the investing side. And so for Tri, that was through Airbnb. So welcome, Tri. If you want to just give us a little bit of a background about you and how you kind of got started into the Airbnb world, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike. So yeah, I've been doing IT for roughly 20 years. I'm 40 now, and I started doing real estate investment in Airbnbs about 3 years ago. And it all started basically because I was doing IT and I was on the individual contributor side. I didn't go into management, and it was something I always wanted to do, but I just never did. I just like the tech stuff. And I was given an opportunity when times were really rough with the company, a lot of issues, and then I went to management, and it was just a tough transition for me, right? With all the issues and the hours, and after a while, those long days just added up, and me and my wife, I knew I needed a plan B just in case this didn't work out, and so that was one, right? Like I knew I needed a plan B. And then what started it was when November came up in 2017, they had this National Novel Writing Month. And it basically challenged you to write a book in 30 days. And what I did was a little spinoff where I was kind of doing what you were doing, which is interviewing other people, get their stories, tools, and tactics. And I only knew IT folks. I knew a lot of directors and IT guys and in senior positions and VPs. And after talking with them, there was a common theme. They all had real estate on the side. Some guys I had no idea. I just knew them as, work and colleagues. And some of them had nine. Like I remember this one guy. He said he had like 9 properties, and his goal was just to keep on buying. And whenever he's ready to retire, he just sells off half, pays off the other half. And it just kind of stuck with me. And after that, I just HELOC'd my house. I had a property in California. I pulled out the money. It took some time, but while I was waiting, I went to meetups and I met some great realtors and other investors, and it just got me hyped up. Like I was super hyped up. I met, I knew a guy doing Airbnb, and I met some other property managers doing these meetups. And they were just super nice folks that were like, yeah, I'll show you everything. And we started checking out properties. It took about 3 months, and we closed on a property in March. And the property manager just helped me with everything, set it up. My wife helped design it. She loves decorating, so that was pretty fun for her. And we got it up and running in a couple of weeks. And she, the property manager set up the site, and we just went from there.
So for those that don't know, you live in the San Diego area, and so then your first property was in San Diego, right? And so this is when you decided to do an Airbnb. So lesson one, A, live in San Diego because it's a great place to live, but B, if you're starting out with the Airbnb, pick a spot where people want to go, right? And for them it was San Diego. So talk about the strategy of selecting that location. Like what was it that helped you decide to jump in with that specific location? You had a few parameters of kind of what you were looking for, right?
Oh yeah, great question. That was a great question. So I live probably about 25 minutes north of downtown, and super suburbs, right? Kids running down the street. There's not a big nightlife, restaurant, no big schools out here. And the advice I got was it needs to be around downtown, by the airport, by the park, by SeaWorld, the zoo, all the hot spots, 10 minutes for the beaches, 10, 15 minutes, have public transportation close by. And that was it. And I found something by our local university, San Diego State.
Mm-hmm.
It was it wasn't technically a single family home, but it had a detached garage that someone converted into another 2-1. So it was like a duplex that was unpermitted.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't appraise for a duplex because he didn't get it permitted. So I got a little value add
Yep.
off the bat getting into that.
Mm-hmm. So then you chose to partner with Airbnb on that. So you said your wife, did all the work and fixed it up and added all the nice touches that people like to see on photos. And then essentially it's kind of plug and play, right? Like you have somebody that helps manage the occupancy with that. Once it's up and running, your time is really very small, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was fun. It was super fun setting it up, finding the mattresses. Like I just care about the mattresses, but my wife was like, "All right, we need like I don't know, 1,000 thread sheets," and she was all about the decor, and she loved calligraphy and brush lettering, and she wanted to set it apart from other ones, from other Airbnbs. So she hired muralists and painters to come by from San Diego, and they painted the walls with like something inspirational or something pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we had like I don't know 4 or 5 murals, one in each room, the big room. So it was really super fun for her, and she loved that new gray white marble look.
Mm-hmm.
So not the whole house was painted that color, so we got to do a little bit of touch up painting to set it up. And doing one of the meetups, the property manager said, "Hey, hello, I'm over here. I think I can help you out." She overheard our conversation, and then she jumped in there, and she's been super useful. She was like, "Yeah, you need a coffee maker. Yeah, you need the utensils. You need this." And she was just, it was like another wife. She just told me what to do, and I just did it.
Mm-hmm.
And her and my wife just partnered up and made this beautiful place. And we bought the supplies, drop shipped it, and other than that, like just doing supply runs. Our property manager sets it up, like you said, with the pricing, with the occupancy, screening the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's not much overhead, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
other than the occasional calls being a landlord, like, "Hey, this guy didn't check out on time," or, "Hey, the door's not working," or, "The laundry machine's busted." So you just call the handyman, or usually we use a handyman for everything. We haven't had any major issues so far. So.
Mm-hmm. And then even too, like you said, in terms of setting prices, when San Diego, obviously it's a desirable place. When Comic-Con comes through, you said Twitter has a convention or other stuff like that. They automatically adjust the price for you. So supply and demand, you can net more money in during those peak times. And then also if it's during the lower times, the prices change, right? So there's a software that you've taken advantage of that does that for you. So you don't even have to manually go in and say, hey, Comic-Con's coming up, we need to bump up the prices. It just happens automatically, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of softwares out there. So when auto sets the pricing for you, it knows about all the events and the hotspots and stuff. So yeah, and then they all also have other plugins to do the automated check-ins for you. So when someone books, it just sends them a little message. "Hey, thanks for booking with us. We'd love to host you. Here's the manual. Here's the Wi-Fi. Here's where you should park." So it's been super useful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, automation software, property managers that do the customer service. It makes things pretty hands off.
Mm-hmm. And because you had a desirable location, you had nice features to it. It pretty quickly took off for you. It's not like there's a long lag time. Like you get it up and running, and pretty much it's turnkey, and people are plugging in, and you're able to net money quickly.
Yeah. People, there's different ways to do things. Like those flippers where they buy like distressed properties, and then they get it at a good deal, and then they renovate it, and then they have a ton of equity, and they can pull it out and redo and recycle. I didn't know any of that stuff, right? I just got I was looking for something turnkey within my HELOC budget, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to do much coming into it, and we did the numbers, and I'm sure I could have done better, in hindsight, but I loved it. We got up and running. I got that checkbox that I have passive money coming in, and something my wife like aesthetically loved, setting up,
Mm-hmm.
because she, like when you're in high school and elementary, you did all the art stuff, and then once you get to college, you may not take art classes, and your passion kind of dries out because of life and kids and work and mortgages. And she always loved art, but 20 years later, we kind of forgot about our passions and hobbies, and this was another way for her to be creative and express herself. So it was a great opportunity for both of us, for me to give her that opportunity and her just to like take control. I remember she would tell me often too, like, try, thanks for letting me decorate this place, because like whatever she wanted, I was like, I don't care, go for it. That looks nice, like go, do it. And she had a great time enjoying the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then so you get that one up and running, and how quickly is it before you start looking at your second place?
So what I did was, with my HELOC, I only used half of it. I got the lowest down payment option, which was like a 15% down arm, and then I still had money left. And after a couple months, we literally just dropped off supplies, but we weren't engaged with. We had a property manager doing it. It was like, let's do it again. And we found a 4-bedroom place down the street, and we set it up. Literally the next day it was online. Like it went from like 3-4 weeks to like next day online. We had a guest come in, and it was so cool. We met him up. It was like this kid coming in town. He didn't even have a car. He just wanted to check out the beaches here. So he airported over here and then Ubered to the house, and just stayed with us. Like we didn't know about during the inspection, they turn off the water heater. Like they turn it on and off. So there was no pilot light lit. So there was no hot water. We didn't know that. Like we didn't know this stuff. So when he stayed, he gave us a great review, but he didn't even have hot water.
He still gave you a great review without hot water.
Yeah, but it gave us the opportunity to meet people. So going back, like when you have tough times, you go back to your why. And I remember a couple of years back, we would do Airbnbs in Europe, and we would meet other folks, right? We all stayed in bedrooms so we could meet other guys. I remember one time in London, we stayed in a bedroom, like a 4 or 5 bedroom house. We didn't know it. We just booked a room, but there was a black dude, a white dude, a Middle Eastern dude. We're Asian, right? We're all there in the kitchen just talking about stuff. And I was like, I love this experience, just sharing your adventures and stories. Like, but I can't travel all the time. I have a 9 to 5, I have kids. How can I give back to San Diego and share my city with others? And this was a way. And then when that guy came, our first guest there, that second house, and we had that great conversation with them. It just felt really good. Like, this is why we're doing it, not just for the money, which is important. Building the equity and someone else is paying it down, but you're having fun along the way, just meeting people and sharing stories.
Yeah. And I really love that, where, I think obviously people get into Airbnb for the money, but that's cool. That's like a side thing that you necessarily didn't plan for. And yet it was a welcome surprise. So your life gained some more depth as a result of doing that. Cause you mentioned, so, you might pop by and meet guests. You might not, but you get a chance to kind of experience their travels and experience their life and visiting San Diego. And like you said, share your city with them. That's something that doesn't show up on the balance sheet at all. And yet it's adding a depth to your life that you didn't have before.
Yeah, exactly. Like the more interesting characters, we met like a videographer from LA down here for the weekend doing a shoot. A couple of musicians. We met a French basketball coach that would help prospects in the area. So he's traveling internationally over here. Just really interesting. We met 2 Army kids that just graduated from the Army that were trying to hustle with their protein, muscle, fitness business. So you just have great stories with everybody.
Yeah, and you get to provide that. I mean, obviously, there's lots of places they could stay in San Diego, but cool that you get to provide that opportunity for them to do what they want to do in San Diego as a result of staying in your place. And money. So
yeah, I love my city. I love giving them reviews. Like the food scene here is awesome. The parks, the beaches is awesome. Like we have like farmers market on the weekend. So on Sundays, we'll randomly text them, hey, Hillcrest is today, or Little Italy's farmers market day. If you happen to be up, you may want to check them out. Or there's a festival today here and there, check this out. And then every blue moon, we'll check out sunsets, and we'll text them as well. Hey, sunsets look great today. The past few days, you may want to go to the beach at like 6 or 7, whatever sunset is.
Hmm.
So just sharing that just makes you feel good. Like you're giving back, and it's so rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So, okay. So you got, you got Airbnb one up, you got Airbnb two up. What was next on your line here of investments?
So after those Airbnbs were up, um, we kept on looking, but we kind of ran out of money.
Hmm.
Our 9 to 5 job we save, but we don't save us that fast, right? Like the equity play from the HELOC. Um, and then we found a couple turnkey service providers in other states. So basically, these are flippers that renovate it. They buy the property. They actually find the tenants for you, and then you buy the house with the tenant, and they property manage it for you. Kind of a similar scenario where you're pretty hands off. And we started doing research in different markets. I liked Oklahoma, Texas, and Florida. Some of these markets were just still pricey. Like Texas is pricey, Florida's pricey, but Mississippi, that was a good little entry, like segue, and to get into this remote real estate investing. And
Hmm.
yeah, we picked up a property for 80K. It was
Hmm.
like super cheap, 80K. The mortgage was like 300 something bucks. And then
Hmm.
with a couple overhead reserves, it was like 400 something, but the rent was like 800 bucks. So I was like, cool. Um, and then we picked up another one in Chicago, did the same thing. It wasn't that much more, pretty hands off. We just kind of went with the advisor, and they told us all the stats, and we got the inspection reports, and we talked to the property managers, got referrals to check them out, and kind of vetted it out, and it was like another good deal, and did that as well. So that was last year with those two properties, and then this year we wanted to expand to multifamilies, and we have family in Phoenix, so we picked up a duplex, our first duplex in Phoenix. Um, it's a little bit more work. I mean, we found a property manager. We didn't know of a turnkey provider, so
Hmm.
we found the property manager, and we had to hire contractors to help us out and stuff. But the property manager, they're awesome out there. They pretty much help you out with everything, and then they had their own contracting services as well. So, just conversations and follow ups, just the normal. But yeah, that one was up and running in a couple months. Um, and then and the equity play is so amazing in California. Like we were able to HELOC our house again,
Hmm.
and then we start refining. Like everybody knows, like the rates are crazy,
Yep.
crazy low right now. So we start refining everything with the new HELOC, buying down jumbo loans to conforming loans, and they give us a better interest rate, better monthly payments. And we also picked up a couple properties. We picked up a condo right by Balboa.
Hmm.
Um, Cash flow is not much, but great little area. This is where my wife is helping out with the renovations again, putting her colors in, and her like the bathroom was kind of unique. It had like what do you call those mirrors or those windows from churches, stained glass.
Oh
It had
yeah.
like stained,
Yep.
yeah. So it was kind of eclectic. But we got a good deal on that. The whoever listed it didn't list that it had a balcony view of downtown with some ocean view. I'm like, this is amazing at this price. So we got in, and we're working on that right now. And my wife's working with the contractors, putting her design touches in. And then we picked up one more property where we just went into escrow last week for one in Baltimore. So another turnkey service provider.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not too scared because a lot of these are Section 8 housing.
Hmm.
So, the government kind of guarantees these, so all the stuff with COVID hit. I wasn't too worried because I knew the government was backing it up and, paying the bulk of the bill.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
that's where
then,
I'm at right now.
and so then just to clarify, I mean, I'm sure obviously the listeners understand, like you never went to go visit any of those other properties. You're really leveraging the relationship of a reputable turnkey company and the reputation of a great property manager, right? That's you're kind of putting your faith and your eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
So talk about kind of that risk. Like obviously there's the numbers on paper, but when you look at that, what maybe fears or concerns did you have, for instance, buying in Mississippi sight unseen? And then how did you kind of decide like, okay, yeah, check that box of risk, check that box of risk. Now I'm ready to jump in. And I don't know between you and your wife, like who's more risk averse, who's not. But just kind of curious to know how that dynamic work when you pick a site on scene. Walk through that process of how you get over like, yeah, I'm going to make the leap and we're going to jump in and it's going to work out.
Yeah. Good question. I'm super conservative. I mean, I had kids when I was young, and we were just a 401k type of investors, right? We just stuck money in, maximized 401k, didn't do anything else, and just waited till we were like 60. That was kind of the game plan. And after just working a lot of hours with that job, I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it to 60. And then with these turnkey service provider, they came with a lot of references. Like, hey, do you want to talk to someone else buying it? Yeah, sure. Here you go. And then we have good conversations. Like they shared all their information. These other investors, like, yeah, I like them. They move fast. Hey, they kind of move slow. We went through a couple of different markets, and I went to escrow a couple of times, but some worked out. Some, but a couple before that didn't work out. Like I didn't know about, the water heater wasn't, brand new, or the roof was, 12 years old or whatever it was. And like, hey, you may want to look at this other city has better turnkey providers that you won't have to replace anything in the next 2-3 years at all. And so that was two things that helped us out, right? The reference points of other investors buying with them, and then the advisory consultation from the turnkey provider really helped out. And then as far as picking a house, like I wanted to get my family involved, and I was, they had a bunch of houses, and then the pro forma information, I just told my son just to pick something. He's like, yeah, this looks good. It's 2-bedroom, but that's 3. You probably want a 3-bedroom. It was super fun for him, and they're all $80K. So in Mississippi, so it was kind of fun letting him pick it. But I could have done more due diligence, checking the stats and the specs in the house, but I just really wanted to get moving. I was so conservative my whole life, and having that I guess you call it midlife crisis. I was like, I need to take more risks. Like I need to be worried about not taking enough risks, which was what I was thinking. I need to take more action. Like I'm tired of being on the sidelines, 20 years worrying about retirement and making it to retirement. Like I got to be more active. So even though you say it's passive, like on the back end, it's passive after you get it, but you're super active on the front end, getting it and taking action. Because not a lot of people talk about it and they give you advice, but what does their portfolio look like? Are they doing anything? And so I didn't want to be those guys, like those Debbie Downers were like, yeah, you shouldn't do this because of that could go wrong. What about this? What about tenants? What about Section 8? I was like, you got it. You got homeowners insurance for the Section 8, and you got the property managers that you vented out and talked to, who have been in business for like 5-10 years, 20 years with like 200 doors. So you do your checks and balances, and there is a leap of faith, but you mitigate all the risks by doing your due diligence.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is, if you take a look at kind of what's the worst case scenario, what's the best case scenario, the worst case scenario is something doesn't work out and you can sell it. A lot of times, think about like a stock. Like people talk about a stock going down. But yeah, stock can go down, but it's not going to go to zero, right? You buy a house, maybe you lost some money on it, but it's never going to go to zero. So if you had to resell it, you'd recoup most of your costs. There might be a short-term loss, but you're going to take that lesson and apply it forward. That's just going to be essentially an education expense. If let's say you lost $5,000 on a property, you learn and now you apply that going forward. So the next one, instead of making 20K, you can make 25K because you're smarter about it. And so I love what you said about just taking action, right? Like you're going to learn as you go, you're going to get better as you go, and you're going to understand those nuances. You're going to understand the numbers better on your 5th deal or your 10th deal than you do on your first deal, but you can't get to the 10th one until you start. And so now you're getting close. You have hit, or you're going to hit the 10 number by the end of the year, right?
Yeah. Like I was going to sit tight and just kind of wait for the market to settle down and all this, but I kind of went the opposite, right? Like I only bought 2 houses first year, 2 houses last year, and this year I doubled that and got 4 houses. And we'll see how it goes, but I think I got to capitalize on the opportunities. And like maybe you only have 80% of the information. or 75%. Well, that maybe that's good enough, right? Like, you can't wait until everything's perfect. And that was the thought process I had going through it. Like if you're 80% positive that this is going to work out and you mitigate all the risks that you know of, just move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you've been able to diversify your portfolio now a little bit too. So if, something happens, in one city, it may affect other cities as, kind of maybe a mass real estate market shift happens. But there might be different times. So, something happens in Mississippi, let's say the market doesn't grow as fast, or let's say it goes down, that's not going to affect your other investments. And so if you put all your eggs in the San Diego basket, and, I can't imagine something major happening anytime soon. And yet if you had all your eggs in the one basket, it's different than now if you've got them spread across. So you've now in pretty short time have a nice diverse portfolio spread across the United States in a few different buckets. And, the opportunity now is a lot greater for you. Now it's more money that's getting paid off more quickly. You can take that equity and turn it into additional investments in the future.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, I didn't really plan it. I was just stumbling forward. But yeah, like I'm doing the equity play in San Diego, but the other markets, they cash flow a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, so then as you think about where you're at today, what does the future look like for you?
I want to get into commercial, like looking at shopping strips and offices, industrial places. I think next year that's probably where I'm gonna try to move into.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
what's your plan? How are you thinking about, like, obviously there's a learning curve. So
yeah,
what do you need to learn? Who do you need to talk to kind of check those boxes to where you feel comfortable jumping in on a deal in commercial?
yeah. Good question. So, what I've done so far was I was looking at those 2 to 4 units, just because you could get the residential loans on them. But people were saying, why don't you look at something bigger, like the 16 units and 32 units? And I looked at a few deals, and I had to do the legwork and talk to lenders about how the financing works, and it's totally different. They look at cap rates, NOIs, and I didn't know any of this stuff before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I had to ramp up on that. And then the shopping strips, same thing. I'm just stumbling forward. Like, all right, let me look at this deal, and they're talking about like triple net leases. I'm like, let me, googling away, and I think just reaching out to people, like they may think you're dumb, but so who cares, right? Who cares that you're still learning? It's okay to fail, like fail often, fail fast, and move forward. That's kind of my motto,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the way I'm gonna approach it. Like, look at a deal, do your research. You don't know something, look it up, and then just keep on making connections. Like I met you through, a friend, and
Mm-hmm.
I think you just put your energy out there, and you try to help others, and you just have that learning mentality, and
Mm-hmm.
things will just happen, right? You just have that positive energy, and you attract other positive people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I'm gonna tackle this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and if we take a step back now and we look, okay, 3 years ago you were in this spot where it's like, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I kind of start to build this additional nest egg? And now you've been able to put some money in, and now you've got a relatively solid passive income coming in. And so, it helps with the choice in the future, right? Like we talk about building wealth to achieve financial freedom, but also time freedom. And so you could decide down the road, I'm going to jump in full time in real estate. You could continue with your current company. You could shift. You could do contract work or whatever. So what it does is it opens up options to where you now have a choice, or you have more choices of what you can do versus feeling like this is what I have to do. And so for those people listening that aren't in real estate, if you're working your day job and you can put this together on nights and weekends, there's certainly lots of folks that can do what you do. The key is jump in, research. I should say first research. Be willing to take a risk, but then ultimately you got to jump in to get started. And so what an inspiration for you are to others to be able to do that on the side. And continue to grow. And yeah, I'm excited about your future and excited about where this can go for you. In just a short time, you've made such a large headway, which is great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Those are very kind words. Yeah, and it's okay not to have like a big plan. Like I didn't have a plan on owning 10 places. I just had a plan of doing one house, one at a time, one step forward, and looking for people I could lean on, like my realtor and my property manager, and then these advisors with these turnkeys, and then meeting people like you and listening to your other podcasts that just inspire me. And yeah, so I'm happy to give back in any way I can.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to share? Any other advice that you have? Any lessons that you've learned here? Any words of wisdom to give people that haven't started yet?
Yeah, get started. I mean, you have so many financing options, right? You could do 5% down conventional loans in house hack. You could go with the turnkey service providers. So yeah, start going to these meetups, listen to all these podcasts, and just don't stop. You got to move forward.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on. For those of you that are listening or watching and you're inspired by Try's story and you want to, maybe get in touch or maybe learn more, feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to connect you with him. Like you said, you're always looking to network, always willing to grow with people. So if you're in the San Diego area or you want to learn more about, turnkey options, things like that, feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to put you in touch with Try and continue the conversation. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time and have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.